Okay. What's the worst that could happen? Let's go. Let's do it. There you go. It's thinking. Oh, sure. I'll turn off the key. Meep. Okay. It knows which Killshot it is now. It's programmed for 65 pound-hour injectors. And it's back on the base settings, which puts it at 350 cubic inch because obviously everything in the world is designed for a Chevy. No, I wasn't using their special gasket, but those areas are recessed into the housing. I've been advised that I should pull and retension these cheesy rubber surrounded injector plugs. Okay, in case you were curious, there are screens in these injectors and they appear to be clear and clean. I hate you! Ate it. Not ideal conditions. For me or for the Atomic, I guess. All you silly goobers making fun of my comically large adjustable wrench. The wide jaws are good for AN fittings. I don't have proper AN wrenches, but these, unlike normal wrenches like that, won't mar those soft fittings up. Eh? Now there's some extra space for the map sensor to get a reading and for the idle air valve to work. I'm really giving this thing the best possible chance it could have. My second fan relay broke. I'm getting way too good at this. There's something poetic about this, I suppose. Anyway, it's all hooked up, so let's see if it's still garbage. I'm sure they won't mind this thing getting wet, sitting on the hot engine. Well, that is assuming it gets hot. Let's find out. Good, it's exactly the same. Ah. Shouldn't be fire there. What's funny is it still looks like it's just a trickle of fuel, but it smells like it's plenty. Oh no, it's, yeah. It does some, briefly, just for fun. Let's put a ton more fuel in it if the touchscreen wants to work. Stock fuel table. This should do something. Save. So what's happening there is now when I throttle it, there is fuel, but at idle, it's still cut down to almost nothing. There's just a teeny tiny little trickle. Idle AFR. let's just go ahead and richen the crap out of that. And we'll richen the crap out of this. And trick this thing into thinking this engine is bigger than it is. 210. Why not? That seems like a random enough number. Now it's too much timing again. Well, I got too excited. Okay, so this thing refuses to idle. Still working on that. But sometimes, occasionally, it actually sounds good. Oh, thermostat opened. Nice. I truly don't know why it hates me so much, but it does. Yeah, it just doesn't know about idling. Doesn't believe in it, I think. The good news is, if you put the proper program in the ACES module, which of course ACES couldn't do themselves when they had it, it will actually run again. And if I massively overfuel it, it'll at least fire up and sometimes continue to run for a brief period. At this point, what this is doing sounds at least vaguely similar to the atomic system. I think it's probably time we finally change this intake manifold. It's stupid, it's dumb, it's garbage. It can't possibly be any good. Next step is to rip that thing off and put the Offenhauser on here. Actually, the next step is to go inside because I'm soaking wet and it's freezing cold. My fingers are cold. I think I forgot to mention that I'm Jamie. This is Dead Dodge Garage, and this is my Turbo Slant 6 Valiant, which actually runs now with the ACES Killshot Classic thing back on it. At least it kind of runs. So now I'm going to do a bunch of work to give this system every possible chance to actually function. Step A. Install the Offenhauser manifold from Uncle Tony. One problem. For some reason, Tony's running a spread bore spacer on this manifold, and our ACES is not going to seal to that. Look how little overlap there is there. There's just no way. I've never had any luck with these phenolic-centered spacers at all. That's what I removed from our 66 wagon to get it to finally not have any vacuum leaks. I hate to destroy Tony's hard work here, but I kind of need to pull this off. It's either that, or I take another spacer, flip it upside down the other way, and go from spread bore back to square. That's almost as silly looking as what's on it. Probably work, though. I know this will come as a shock, but aftermarket parts suck, and this adapter is nowhere near straight. Doing what I can, though. I cleaned up the square end of that spacer to match the standard square gasket. I could notch it like I did this, but I can't be bothered. Now I just need a spread bore gasket to go in the middle, and then a set of the world's longest carb studs, which I do have in the other manifold, and we should have something. Okay. Remind me to buy an X-Acto knife. Anyway, this is working. Sure, but is it enough plenum volume? Intake's off, and we're learning things. For one, I think we're good on exhaust leaks. There's one tiny stain there. I was going to put the Remflex gasket in, but now I don't want to, especially because I remembered there's a bracket fixing the exhaust manifold in place. I don't want to deal with that. So I'm just going to pop the new manifold in here, and I'm sure that will be fine. Speaking of quality aftermarket parts, the flange on this intake was not straight. Fixed, mostly. It's better anyway. The manifold actually didn't fit at first. Had to open up this screw hole, although I only did so at the back side, so once it gets into place, it'll still kind of sort of center on that stud. And I had to file this edge down. It was running into the former choke housing there. Okay, it's back together with the offy manifold. I think I got all the fittings tight. The gas is staying in so far. Let's see if it's magically fixed. Place your bets now. So far, not promising. Oh, cool. So far it's exactly the same. Or worse. We're gonna go back to 110%. We're gonna kick the idle AFR back to 12.8, which is insane. Manifold actual temperature, 46. Oil pressure, 106 PSI, that seems unlikely. TPS is actually closed at 0 degrees. Best job of an idle that it can do. Oh cool, I massively richened it and it actually stays running. But I have a question. How much liquid gas should be raining from the throttle shafts onto my turbo? Just wondering. Smell like 14 to you? Now, the next thing. We extend the exhaust system. See if that helps the oxygen sensor reading in any way. Watch the AFR. 13.2 it says. Before anything else happens, I need to get the fans working.
Wow, that's a warmed up Valiant.
It's one with the car now. Almost have fans. Did you actually catch that shooting into the cowl?
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you have a lot of fans.
According to my calculations, all of this horrible temporary wiring mess that'll probably be here for a really long time should now make fans happen. Sure. Stop. Working fan. Stop. No way to get it to idle. Just won't. Burns rubber whether you want it to or not. That's cool. You're supposed to set it so that the idle valve controls the idle, right? It has its desired speed. On most systems, it's like between 5 and 10% is what you want open when it's idling. I can't tune it that way because when I try to close the throttles enough that the idle valve will take over, it just dies. There's two idle speeds, one front and one rear. I'm trying to balance between them, get them both just barely opened to the point that the idle valve will take over. Never does. So I don't know what that's about. In case you were wondering, the idle valve does in fact work. Okay. You may well have noticed by now that I kind of made this video backwards. Usually, I'll open a video with some kind of commentary, setting up what you're going to see, telling you the story of a given car, that sort of thing. Instead, I wanted to dive right in. I wanted to get this thing reprogrammed. I wanted to get this manifold swapped. I wanted to go to every possible length to ensure that I'm being fair, that I'm crossing all the T's and dotting the lowercase j's, and giving this system every possible chance to work. I have gone through so much trying to tune this thing, trying to get it to actually work. There is no question in my mind that we're in a better place now than when I first installed the Killshot like a month and a half ago now. But still, it protests. The only way I've gotten it to work as well as it does is by lying to it and tell it that it's living on a 250 and at sometimes 300 cubic inch engine. That made it actually run, which was kind of cool. Then I massively richened the base fuel map. I played with fuel pressure. I played with idle screws. I played with idle settings. I have messed with everything you can mess with trying to get this thing to behave. And yet, for all of those changes, it still does not work right. It doesn't work for this application. Now, if you had like a 350 cubic inch Chevy, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But I don't. However, it does actually start and stay running now. And that's cool. So now, I'm gonna take this thing up the street, and if it is at all better than the MSD atomic system, I might consider not throwing it right in the garbage can. This thing still seems like it's massively rich, and anytime I try to take fuel out, it just dies. It won't run. Oh, come on, don't. If I have to push this thing a block, I'm gonna be upset. Thank you. Yeah, it's just bad. It's not safe. It's terrible. I could probably spend the rest of my life messing with the fuel settings in this thing, but I don't want to. Come on, just go in the spot. So that's where we're at with that. Gave it my best shot. I gave it every chance I possibly could of working. But I have to conclude, out of the two, the better EFI system is this ancient atomic, which isn't saying much. I do want to give a sincere thank you to the commenters on the last video, you know, the super negative one everyone hated, that told me things like, don't use Ace's timing control because it's a joke, which I can't anyway because this is a classic, and tell it you have a bigger engine than you actually have, which I did, and that actually sort of made it run. It doesn't change much. As much as I really want the Turbo Valiant to be a working Turbo Valiant, it's kind of more than that. For me anyway. It's a test bed for other ideas. One of those ideas was this crazy manifold. Did it work? Kind of. I mean, there was really no running difference between this and the Offenhauser I replaced it with. Now, maybe if we get past this whole the EFI system doesn't work thing, we'd find its limitations. Let's put one of these goofy throttle body EFI systems on a Turbo Slant 6 and see if it works. Short answer, no. That idea was always intended as a detour from this idea. True multi-point fuel injection. This is a Mega Squirt controller. And it is my friend. Maybe, actually. I've kind of had mixed results with these things in the past. Back in the bad old days, Mega Squirt was the way to build your own EFI system. And it still is today. Kind of. Although there are some other really good ones. Speeduino comes to mind. Many people have recommended Speeduino. It's a little too brainy for me. Unlike some enthusiasts who focus on one build, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's a great thing. Do that. Not what I do. What I do is build 20,000 things at once, and I work on one a little bit, and then I jump to one for a little bit, and then I go back to the other, and then I buy 5 more. So with that in mind, you'll understand when I'm not excited to dedicate half of my life to building my own custom EFI system. I might, but I'm not really excited about it right at the moment. This is a JTEC controller. And so is this. Also this. Pretty sure there's more. The JTEC is the backbone of Chrysler's EFI system from 1996 until 2003. Somewhere around there. They ran Magnum V8s. That's what this one came from, but they also ran 3.9 V6s and 4-liter Jeeps, among many other things. I have a bit of a history doing EFI Magnum swaps, and all of those swaps used this system and one of these harnesses, swiped out of a Ram pickup truck. Given that I have lots and lots of experience with these systems, and they're factory engineered and reliable, maybe I should modify one of these and have it programmed to work with the Turbo Slant 6. Any of these options are going to require an intake manifold capable of housing fuel injectors. I could build one, and I might. Oh look, we're back on Windows 7. Today, there's a company called Guild Welding making EFI manifolds, supplying Dutra duals, all kinds of crazy stuff for EFI Turbo Slant 6 applications. And that's pretty cool. It's just that the whole point of this was to build it. That's why I built my own turbo manifold. I could have just bought that. But that's not what I want in life. There's another company called Aussie Speed that makes all kinds of cool Slant 6 stuff. They've got headers, they've got intake manifolds. Here's one of them now. This is a 2-barrel manifold, and as you can see, it has pads for fuel injectors to be mounted. They're not actually drilled though. This manifold doesn't come with a fuel rail or anything else I would need to adapt injectors to it, but it would be easier to modify. Incidentally, Guild Welding does prepare some of these to be used with EFI. They seem to be out of stock at present. They've got Slant 6 blower manifolds! Do you have a headache yet? I do. Might be the super rich exhaust fumes though. Or I could just do what everyone's been screaming this whole time and put a carburetor on the stupid thing. This is a 600 CFM double pumper Holly, and it's probably way too big for the job. Kind of like it though. Hey, we've already got a leg up with this one. It's already got foam floats. You can't run the brass ones, they'll collapse under boost. Gotta tell you, for a minute there I had what I thought was the greatest idea ever. The Turbo Quad! But these have brass floats. I think I've just decided to say to heck with it and build a Holly. And when that doesn't work, and the Slant 6 explodes, well, we'll all learn something, I guess. I bet that's not how you thought this video was gonna end. Thanks, Aces! I just want to say to everybody, thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for commenting, especially if you have, helpful information for me. I need that. I know a lot of people learn from these videos I make, but I learn too. That's what this is all about, and I'm gonna try and keep doing that and maybe be a little less grumpy. Okay, but if you tell me to small block swap the Turbo Valiant, I will ban you from the comments. I don't know if anyone learned anything from this video, but there's always next time. Until then, as ever, thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes things that are expensive are worse.